Welcome back to Gear of the Week. Now I have a lot of items to discuss today, so we're not going to waste any more time. Let's get started. Now, we had a Prime Day sale in October, and one of the things that I picked up were these 4 products from a company called Budi. Now, these are electronics organizers, and they have a lot of features built into them. So you just press them up from the bottom. It has aluminum shell, and if you look, we actually have a ton of options in this, including storage for days. I mean, there are micro SD card slots, and then there's an SD card slot on top for all of these, which is pretty amazing. Really like that they have so much storage in this, although I don't think I'd ever use it. Now, this also functions as an SD card reader and a micro SD card reader, and I really like that. So there's a Type A port here, as well as a Type C port on the other side. So this is not just storage, but it's also going to offer a way to store data on the fly. So it's kind of like I don't want to say a data bank, but you could basically have a whole bunch of larger SD cards and you can kind of compartmentalize if you see fit to do so. I really like this one, but it's probably not going to be for everyone. You have to be doing a lot of video editing, a lot of photography, that kind of thing to make that make sense. The smaller one is probably what I would go with if I was most people, and that's because, one, it's going to fit into a lot of kits. It has an SD card reader like the other one does, and pretty much nothing else. So it just has SD cards, nano SIMs, it has the converters like the other one does, plenty of storage. I highly recommend this one as an option for a bunch of different kits. This will probably end up in a vehicle in the near future, and we'll probably see it in future vehicle kits. Now, the other two, the first one we'll just get out of the way, is just storage for different SD cards. I don't think you should spend your money on that, but this is more like it. So you have a wireless charging pad. You have the ability to plug it in from there. So basically set your things on top. But if you want to use your device while you're charging, you can set it up like this and set up your phone like so, and you're good to go. It has a mirror inside, so it's still a useful compact. And check out all the storage you have here. Once again, Type A, micro USB, and lightning cables as well with the Type C built in. This also has a micro SD card reader, and I love that feature. So you'd plug your phone or whatever device wants to read the cards into here, and then you plug the Type C port into there. So if you needed to offload pictures because your phone's filling up, you're on vacation, this would do it. So this is a combination of different things that are particularly useful, and I think is probably my favorite of the bunch. I had a similar one called the KARD. I can't find it right now. It's even smaller than this one, but it's also more expensive. So I definitely think these are really cool if you're looking for a compact system to go along with your electronics. Now, Victorinox has been making wallets for a while. I didn't realize this, but they have. But this is something a little bit different. It is basically a modern style top loader wallet, but on the back we have a Swisscard specifically designed to mesh with it. So it kind of stays put for the most part. It slides up in one direction, but then it hooks onto the top right there. So really interesting design for this. Has all the functions you would expect from a Swisscard, the small blade, the scissor right here. We have the file, we have tweezers, and of course we have a pen at the very end. All of these things are quite useful, and the pin. So you have basically what is a Swisscard kind of mashed up with the wallet. Now, I don't know how I feel about this one, because they already make a Swisscard, and this is kind of expensive in my opinion for something that I could have probably created, or maybe it would have been better to go with a different brand and then just attach a Swisscard to it. Maybe, who knows, maybe I'm wrong. But what I will say is they should have definitely not had the band so low. I mean, realistically, it should have been right in the middle, right below where this slots in, so that the cash could fit properly right in the middle, which is the way I would carry it. I don't know anybody who wants to have their cash kind of sticking out in a way that it could fall out. So I definitely think we'll be looking at this again. I'm curious to see what people think about it. Does it make sense to do this, and especially at the price point? Or should you just get a minimalist wallet and then attach a Swisscard? Let me know down in the comments. No, that's not your imagination. That's a very small knife. This is called the Mica from CJRB, and it is made with an aluminum frame. It is a button lock. It is very fidgety in nature and very, very small. In fact, under 2.5 inches of blade length here. It has a reversible clip, aluminum frame, some really cool accents to the lanyard spot. And this one probably does need a lanyard. You know, a lot of times with small knives, you want the lanyard to give yourself a little bit more grip. So pretty cool. And I thought immediately of one knife that I absolutely adore, and that is the Baby Banter. Now, if you notice, the Baby Banter has a little bit more finger space up front. In fact, I find this to be still a little bit more comfortable. But the fact that there's more options for people, and this is a liner lock versus the button lock, this is going to be more left-hand friendly versus this. I think that this is really nice to have the different options. And they have what's called the mini pyrite, which is a sheep's foot shape. And I think I might like that one even better, if I'm being honest. So I think these are really cool. It depends a lot on the pricing, but I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people, the same way that the Baby Banter did. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this company in the small range. I think there are a lot of people out there that want a non-intimidating knife to use for just a couple of tasks here and there. And this does exactly that. And fifth pocket EDC, you know, this is something that fits in a fifth pocket very easily, and so it doesn't take up any real space. I'm kind of curious to see what people think about these knives in general. Do they like small knives, or would you prefer something a little bit bigger? Me personally, I like a little bit bigger knife, but you know what? To each their own. Now, every once in a while, Gerber will make a knife that really surprises me, and this is one of those instances. This is the Sedulo from Gerber, and it's made in the United States. It has S30V. This one is a custom with red Cerakote, so they have a custom shop, so you can get a couple of different things if you want to upgrade it. And what's crazy to me is that they have other knives in S30V, but they're not this inexpensive. And I won't say, when I say inexpensive, it's USA made, it's going to cost something, especially with the premium steel. But at the base price of like around 130, it's very reasonable. And here's the thing, people see this and they go, isn't that like a bug out? It's really actually not. You know what it is? It's much closer to a Griptilian in feel. It has a true form-filling handle. In fact, I love the texturing on this. They even have a landing pad for the pocket clip so that it doesn't rip up your pants. And did I mention the pocket clip is actually flush and done well? I mean, color me impressed, really. I mean, the fact that they were able to deliver on something this good on washers, no less, that's on washers, not on bearings, on washers, and it still has that action. Very impressive, very impressive. I like this knife. I don't just, not even a little bit. I love this knife. Let's just say it, that is what it is. And I've had some pretty not so great knives from Gerber, but this is not one of them. It feels weird with Gerber. They have one miraculous moment where they do something really well like this, and then the next they like stick their foot in it. This is an example of when they have done it really well. So if you are picking one from them and they have like a new sale, maybe it's Black Friday or something like that, this is one to check out. If you're going to pick one knife from Gerber right now, this is the one I would recommend for sure. By comparison, all the others just are nowhere near this good. From the action perspective, just the shape, the ergonomics are really, really good, and it has a reversible pocket clip. Yeah, not much more to say. This is a fantastic knife. This has been reviewed also by a ton of people, all of them having kind of similar opinions about it, having a lot of angst toward Gerber initially, and then being like, wow, this is actually a good knife. And that's kind of the way I feel about it too. It is surprising to see something that you can generally compliment from Gerber. This is a great example and highly recommended. Now, if we take a look at this knife, it has a reversible pocket clip, deep carry pocket clip with flush screws, worth noting, a nice design in fact. It has sort of a G10 with carbon fiber overlay. It is a button lock, and this knife comes in under $20. Comes in under $20. I think for its release, it's $15 in fact. So that is unusual in the knife world. We don't usually see knives this budget friendly that have something like a button lock. We just don't see it. So I like where this is going, and I'm hoping it starts a little bit of a trend with a bunch of different companies, because getting people used to using these finger safe locks that are also quite fidgety should start very inexpensively, not even at the $50 price point. Something like this, maybe $20, $25, would be great. The only thing I will say about this is that, one, it's a 4CR. It is properly heat treated, but it's like, you know, one of those budget steals, right? And there's not much you can do about that at this price point. However, if you just change the geometry, I just want something a little bit more generic, you know? It doesn't even have to be a flat grind, but just a standard drop point blade would be fantastic with a nice neutral straight handle. I know it's tempting to want to do something different, but for me, I just want a sub $20 button lock knife with generic design, because I just think it would sell like hotcakes. Literally, it would be so good. And this actually does also, and I tested it, it does actually pass the spine whack test as well. So really interesting piece from Revo. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Would you ever consider buying a $15 to $20 button lock, or would you rather save up and get something a little bit more premium? This is nothing new. We've seen something similar, but not from this brand, so I'm going to make this very short. This is a pocket knife that you can buy separately from Mossy Oak, and it was less than $20, and I think that's what really caught my attention. A lot of times when you look at Amazon, you don't get to see these for less than 25 or 30. So this is base price around 30 bucks. It has a built-in bit driver, the same one that we see on things like the Multiforce and so on. Although they have changed the locking tang, we'll talk about that in a second. And it also has 4 additional tools. So I actually really like the tool set that it came with. It's actually quite nice, if I'm being honest. And yeah, it's really good. Even the, sorry, whoops, I messed this up. I'm gonna do it the other way. Even the bit driver has really nice retention, like actually surprisingly good. Really like that. It's not locking, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. And this is actually pretty solid for the price point. Basically just a half version of many of the budget multi-tools we've talked about, and it includes a pocket clip. This might be a good one and done solution. It has the scissors, it has the blade, it has the internal implements on both sides. Let me know what you think. I think that for sub $20, this could be a really good stocking stuffer for people coming up. You know, curious to see what you guys think. Now, over the course of running this channel, I have had 3 different versions of this exact tool. 3 different times I've gotten it and then given it to someone, or gotten it and then sold it. I don't know why I did that, because coming back around to it, especially now when everything has gone up in price, it just seems to be a much better tool than I remember. And I think that's because it never increased in price, where everyone else's multi-tool has. So this is called the Havalon Evolve, okay? So it is a multi-tool specifically designed for hunting. So this would be considered, I would consider this a specialized multi-tool. It has a very similar design to a Leatherman Skeletool, but is a little bit bigger. I think this runs about 6.5 to 7 ounces. It has a gut hook right here, or package opener, depending on how you want to look at it. And it also has, and this is one of the coolest things, it has a replaceable scalpel holder. And so this comes with a little tool to get it off, which I almost never use. It also comes with a bunch of spare blades, and the Havalon blades, by the way, are much thicker than standard scalpel blades, so they're quite nice, the 60A. It also comes with these saw attachments, all these different options. It's around the $65 price point. And what I like about it is, when I was working as a teacher, this was actually the tool I carried, because I took the blade out and I never had to worry about any issues. You know, I never had to think about the fact, oh, people are going to freak out because I'm using a knife to cut open, you know, paper and all that other stuff. And so it was nice as an option to have, and it also has a full-sized hex bit driver. The pliers here are also, in my opinion, much more sturdy than the ones you will find on the Skeletal. It's just a little bit wider, a little bit like narrower also in the tip. It's just not, it's a little bit more on the blunt nose side, but still really good on the pliers. The only thing I never liked about it is the ergonomics. It's just a little bit, there's just a lot of little sharp edges. Other than that, it's kind of amazing, is it has a full-size hex bit driver, which will take a Leatherman bit, by the way, and it has storage for additional bits right here. So you just pop this out, push this down, and you actually have storage right inside. So I really like this tool. I don't know why I ended up selling it. I'm not gonna do it again. And in fact, I think I might even do a series on top 10 specialized multi-tools at some point. It might be after the end of the year, but I don't know. Let me know if that's something that is interesting to you. I'm gonna take a look at this flashlight, and this is the MH12 Pro. It has these new LEDs in it, the UHI LED, and it looks different, and man, this is a bright, bright flashlight. And what really blows my mind is how it's able to manage heat. At the high output, it kind of gets hot quickly. However, they have a bunch of modes that are lower, that have a higher candela rating, higher output than almost anything else can match at a long runtime. So this new LED technology could have huge, huge, huge potential. So you can see also that this has an indicator for output on the side here, along with the battery indicator on the right. So similar to what we see from other brands, but we have a Type-C charging port on the back. So you pop this out, and then you have access to that Type-C charging. So that's a really nice option. Very, very bright flashlight, tail switch and side switch. This one basically has a couple of modes as well, including attack mode, which is probably what I would use it with. And you always have the ability to get into moonlight by holding the side button and pressing this here. The side button never works when it's off. So the nice thing is you never have to worry about accidentally turning it on. And this will last forever. It's like a half lumen, and it lasts a really, really, really long time. So a really neat flashlight, probably deserving of its own review for sure. And yeah, if you've been looking for a really bright 21700 powered flashlight, this might be the item to take a look at. I will also be linking to a more in-depth review done by someone else where they actually do some true output testing, and you can see the actual way that this runs. I hope that will be helpful, but definitely a cool updated technology, and I'm excited to see what other companies can match it. I honestly still can't believe it. Fenix not only made a really good, well thought out flashlight, it might be one of my favorite flashlights ever. Like, and I mean ever. I love this design. I only have one qualm with the entire thing, and we'll get to it, but let me just tell you what this is. This is the Fenix LD12R. Now, this is a 14500 or AA powered flashlight and has a maximum output of around 500 to 600 lumens, but has also a very high candela rating. So it has a very, very bright beam. In fact, it's really quite impressive that it can compare to even my Warrior Mini 3. It's not even that difference in brightness, just mostly that it has a different beam width. I am very impressed with this light. And the thing is being that it is both AA and also a 14500, it's gonna have a lot more versatility. It's gonna be a lot easier to take with you. Now you'll notice this little LED on the side, and we'll get to that. But first we have a tail switch, which you turn on and then half press to cycle through 4 modes, low, medium, high, and then turbo. And to get access, and this is really cool, so you turn on the light and you quickly rotate the head, and then you get access to the side, the emitter, and you can then cycle through all the outputs there as well. 1, 2, and I believe 3. Yeah, there's 3 outputs on the side. And so you can stand this up, use it on the table, you can attach it to a collar, you can do all kinds of cool things because it has a side light, and it doesn't involve actually using it clipped to a hat. So I really like this, that they have the different options. The other thing that's really quite neat with this is they actually have a magnet. So you'll be able to stick this to something and then you can rotate the light so that you have the side facing whatever it is you're using it for. So this would be really, really good for doing work, say, under a hood of a car, somewhere where you can actually attach it. You can kind of get this into crazy spaces because of the fact that you can use the side emitter as well. The versatility on this thing is excellent. Frankly, the only thing I'm not completely sold on is this pocket clip. It is a plastic clip, and I think they did that so they can integrate these magnets here. And it's not that the plastic bothers me, only that it doesn't go very far into the pocket. So all of that is sticking out. If it weren't for that, I think that this would go up even higher as far as a consideration. As is, this is one of the best things that I think Fenix has ever made. It's not even close. I'm super impressed by this light. And to top it all off, all the other brands, for the most part, use Type-C ports that are covered with silicone inserts, which, if they have even a little bit of a gap, can kind of compromise any waterproofing that you have. Whereas this has a screw down head. And so when it's screwed down, it's got an IPX rating of IP68, which is the best you can get outside of dive lights. Fantastic. They have really, really outdone themselves on this one. If they could just come out with an option for a pocket clip that maybe was made of metal and it just didn't have, you know, maybe a little bit more deep carry, man, that would be fantastic. It's to the point where that's pretty much the only thing that I have a qualm with. Even the fact that the user interface is fine for what I'm gonna use it for. And I just love that side emitter. It's just really, really nice. Now the last one, of course, I find out that it exists after making my keychain flashlight video. This is identical to the Lumintop EDC 15. It has a slightly different set of modes, but otherwise similar. So this is a 14500/AA powered flashlight, and this version actually has a magnetic attachment so that if you wanted to have it on your keys, you can quickly attach and disattach it, use it, and because it is of course magnetic, you can then stick it to basically anything metal. So it has extra versatility, and I really do like that. I don't know if this is for everyone, but it's a cool option that is offered by Lumintop, might be worth considering. So there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think that we're back to the same. Yeah, so like 4 or 5 output settings. It has mode memory. So pretty cool, and it also comes with a silicone cover. So I would pretty much leave that on all the time. So you have the option of standing it on a table and using it like a lamp. Just a really cool little flashlight. Just something to take a look at as well. I found this during the, the Prime Day sale, but they're still pretty inexpensive, under 20 bucks. So very cool, definitely worth looking at as well. Here's all the stuff that I had to show you today. Let me know what is your favorite. For me personally, I think the ones that, well, at least interest me the most in general are probably the Havalon Evolve and the Victorinox wallet. I'm curious to see if my preconceived notions about this are wrong, and I'm happy to finally have the Havalon Evolve back in my collection. I just think it's a much better tool than I gave it credit for initially, and now with the price points being what they are, maybe this is where people need to go. As always, thank you for your time, and we'll talk again soon.